So, what was your biggest fear when you started out?
In fact, very frankly speaking, I did not even realize that there will be something, because I did not anticipate failure.
Hmm.
Because I am a positive person till date. Whatever happens, happens for the best. And I had a, firm thinking that in case I fail, I have a degree with me. I can easily go back to a job. I did not come
Positive
across.
thinking.
Yeah, positive thinking. So if you have positive thinking, you don't have fear. Because if you have fear, half the battle is lost. If you have fear कि ये मेरे से होगा कि नहीं ये whether I'll be able to do or not, it should not come your way. Because then what happens is you are always thinking in the negative terms कि what if I fail, what if I fail. But I had a plan B. I would go back, I would work, I would I had the capacity to repay.
Okay. So, one thing that helped you with no fear is positive thinking and having a backup in mind. So, reassuring yourself and believing in yourself.
True, true. Education.
Hi, this is Muskan Puri, and I'm your host at Winning Brew Podcast, where we brew fresh, bold, inspiring stories just for you. Before we dive into today's episode, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that we can continue to bring such fresh, bold stories for you every time. Thanks and enjoy the video. I am the host, Muskan Puri, and today it's an honor to have our guest, Mr. Mangarish Pai Raikar, who is a first generational entrepreneur and has started his own manufacturing business unit from scratch. Apart from this, he's played a key and a vital role in reshaping a lot of MSME policies and has represented government in different forums. The introduction hardly is 1% of the great man that he is. And now we'll start ahead with our podcast. So, Mr. Riker, you're a first generational entrepreneur. Could you please share with the audience what was your starting point? Did you ever doubt yourself and how did you start?
I was doing my management in Mumbai when we were given some assignments of doing business plans. And I did several of them, just because I was not satisfied with the plan that I was doing. And during those times, it was somewhere in 79, 78, 79. I think it was 78. We did not have Xerox or we did not have any copier machines like today where you can just go and get things done. But we had to rely on information from one source, and that source was Times of India Library.
Okay.
And we used to go and sit there and read, and then write in our pads, so that the information is stored in our writings. So likewise, I did several business plans. Especially, I would like to tell you about. I did one on the soap manufacturing. I did one on the ladies. Many such things I did. So I was not getting, that confidential. I mean, that confidence and to go ahead with that. But then uh, it just came to me that I should go for something which is not a me too. But it was always at the back of my mind that I want to start something. I didn't want to get in the run of the mill, of a job and all that. Although at the end of my MBA program, I was given three opportunities because we get campus interviews, and three opportunities were there. One was in abroad and two were in India. I did take one. Let me tell you, I did take one for a short term. The reason was I wanted to learn the administrative skills. See, administrative skills are very important,
Yes.
and especially the product intake, process formation, and how inventory control is done. All these things you learn when you are in the junior management cadre, because you actually work.
Agreed.
So what I did was to get hands-on experience. I started working in a multinational company, and at that particular time, I found a friend who was doing his IIT, and he was my classmate also earlier. So we both together said that let's start one new project, and then he gave me an idea what is to be done, and we both started working on it. He also, after passing out, he said, I would like to take some experience. So he worked in the similar unit in Mumbai. And then we both came to Goa and put up our unit. And of course, that was it. In fact, initially, I did work for 1.5 years in that multinational
MNC.
company.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for and deriving from what you just said, a young youth, for example, anyone, you know, a man or a woman, and they are working, would you suggest them a job or a business?
See, it depends on your circumstances. Now, in my case, my family was never into business. None in our family, right from my dadaji or whoever. I mean, nobody was into business, and they were a agricultural family, to be very frank. And we had enough to eat that way, but never surplus. Somehow we managed, and it was tough for me also for later part of education, which was assisted by my maternal uncles. So that's why I could complete all these things. And later on, it's your take how you want to go forward. So like for me, I wanted some experience, so I went for a job. You can go for a job, but there are some risks involved, because most of the people, what happens was, when you take a job, you get involved in it so much that you don't want to leave it, because you get a cozy life. You get paid every month. On the first of every month, you get your paycheck, so you are comfortable. So you don't want any change in that. So then you get stuck in that rut.
Yes.
So if you want to start, you should have a fixed target. Like I had. I wanted to come back to Goa and start forthwith. So of course, it's not a overnight thing that happens. There is no jadoo ki kandi. It's a magic wand to nahi hai. So what you have to do is, you have to put lot of efforts, and then things starts rolling slowly, because right from making your project ready, then your process ready, then your place of action, that is where you want to set up the then you have to manage to get that area for yourself. All that thing follows, but you need patience. It will not come. Rome was not built in a day, so you need patience. And at that time, there is no money coming in, so you're very tense about it. So you try to hasten the process, and that's where your skills come to play. And then it goes on. So my suggestion to anybody and everybody: yes, you can take some experience by going for a job, or being an management assistant, or working under somebody, just for gaining your experience, gaining knowledge. And learning is a never ending process. So this is something which I would suggest. There is another thing, I always tell people, because I'm also a faculty. When I go to management colleges, I tell them that entrepreneurship is not something which will come down. It's not a heavenly gift. You have to work towards it. Okay, so what you need to do is, during your learning phase, you start thinking what will be your future, what you would like to do, and where you would like to see after 5 years of starting your business, or whatever you want to do. So this is something, that planning has to start during your learning phase itself.
To have that vision in mind.
Vision in mind. And more so, what happens is, during the learning phase, what happens is, you learn for those 3 hours. It should not be the case, because you learn to reciprocate whatever is there in that paper. Once you are done with the paper, you can forget it easily, and most of the people forget it. Hardly anybody remembers what you have studied in, say, even if I go back at 8th standard, 9th standard, history में क्या पढ़ी थी?
Don't
Doesn't
remember.
remember.
Yeah.
So this is the type of things happen. So learning period, you should take it very seriously. and then, make up your mind, start writing. That's another skill that you should develop. Start writing your dream so that you want to bring your dream into reality. So that's how you should take up your cause.
To note on that, I did start writing at the start of this year that I want to start with podcast, and here I am today. So
Great.
I'm a firm believer of this writing down.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. So, what was your biggest fear when you started out?
In fact, very frankly speaking, I did not even realize that there will be something, because I did not anticipate failure.
Hmm.
Because I am a positive person till date. Whatever happens, happens for the best. And I had a, firm thinking that in case I fail, I have a degree with me. I can easily go back to a job.
Hmm.
I can easily make up some company and start earning and repaying my dues, loan, whatever I have taken, because my family was against any loans because they have never taken loan in lifetime.
Okay.
They were saying that taking loan is not our family culture, and you will अपने खानदान का इज्जत का सवाल है, those things. But I did not let them know, and I did not even go for any collateral and all. I tried to manage it within the means that I was able to get, and somehow I did succeed in that, and went ahead with that. And of course, the hard work, the sincerity, the uh, improvement in the quality, maintaining the quality, giving value for money, all these things help to establish a market for me, and I could continue with it.
So, no fear.
I did not come
Positive
across.
thinking.
Yeah, positive thinking. So if you have positive thinking, you don't have fear. Because if you have fear, half the battle is lost. If you have fear कि ये मेरे से होगा कि नहीं, ये whether I'll be able to do or not, it should not come your way. Because then what happens is you are always thinking in the negative terms कि what if I fail, what if I fail. But I had a plan B. I would go back, I would work, I would I had the capacity to repay.
Okay. So, one thing that helped you with no fear is positive thinking and having a backup in mind. So, reassuring yourself and believing in yourself.
True, true. Education is also very important,
Very
so
important.
that you have that educational qualification with you.
Awesome.
In fact, by the time I could, I was there for almost about 3 years past after MBA. By the time I started, by the time I had completed my law.
Wow. Okay, that's great. That's amazing.
Yeah. That was a part-time college which was available here, studies. So I could complete my 3-year course in law.
So, when you were building yourself up to be something bigger, better, and positive, what were your, your key habits that shaped to where you are today? What were those non-negotiable habits?
See, first and foremost, like anybody who starts business never looks forward. The vision should be there. Where you would like to reach in 5 years, in next 10 years, and where you would like to see whether you want to continue in the same pattern or you want to diversify, you want to expand. All these things need to, like you said, you wrote in your book what you want to be. So you should also write your vision in that. So where you want to go, how far you want to go, whether you want to be in the same line or you want to also diversify, and all the factors that will come in way, all these things need to be jotted down so you know how to work and how to approach the life.
Okay.
So that was the futuristic angle which I always had in mind. So I knew that I would reach up to certain level, and I also know that I have a limitation. I cannot reach the level of Tata and Birla because they have the assets, they have the wherewithal, whether it is money, muscle, whatever. And my things are with limitation, but I know to what extent I will go. So even if I put extra pressure, that will create extra stress in me. So I know where to stop.
Okay.
So that also you need to know. So at that point of time, I knew that I would diversify in different areas And besides that, my forte was, coming to an aid of people, my colleagues, whatever help that you can do. I started helping them out in their financial dealings, in their banking transactions. Industrial estate, we had more than 100 other entrepreneurs, So they would come to me. We used to have a cup of tea at 11 o'clock. We started our work at 8 o'clock. By 11, our things were online. So 11 to 11:30 was the time which I was devote to, sorting out the problems, finding solutions for them. In fact, that somebody gave me an insight saying that you are a good organization man. Why don't you take up our organization? And that is how slowly, even when I was not there for the meeting, I was elected as the president of that association, industrial association.
Right.
So slowly, it just
Okay.
happened.
So talking about the top three habits that you want to tell others that is a must that helped you reform and shape your future. The first one would be having a vision and reassessing your vision.
Reassessing my
What
vision.
would be the second?
Second is financial discipline.
Financial discipline.
Very, very important. You should have a financial discipline. See, most of the time people make a, uh, they falter. Why? Because they think that suppose I sell something, the money comes in. They feel that all the money is his. It is not his, because it part of it is that inventory which he has to buy again for further business. So then there is bank fund, there is financial institution fund. All these things you have to, and whatever is the profit, you cannot say that 100% profit you will utilize, because you need a cushion. Okay, so you should know how much is yours and how much you can take, and that's how you can move forward. And another thing, when I make a project report, I should also consider my salary in it. The reason is because I am putting in my time, I am putting in my efforts, I am putting in my knowledge, I am putting my entire, goodwill and whatever that is essential for the business. So I am entitled to receive some, remuneration. So most of the people, what they do, they don't calculate their,
Time and
worth,
efforts. Yeah.
their worth, and then what happens is, then he tries to put hand in the, on the money which has come in. So there he falters, and then that financial discipline goes for a toss.
That would be the
So
third.
second,
Okay. Second.
financial discipline.
Yeah.
And third is always keep your eyes and ears open. You should know where things are going wrong, and if they are going wrong, what are the corrective steps. And you should also be innovative in your approach,
Okay.
because say if you go on the same line, you may perish in times to come. You have to be always, see, it's like the Nokia phones which were there are not seen today. Okay, today there is smartphone, but tomorrow there may be something else, and it is on the way. So all these things, changes. You have to be ready to adapt that change and work towards it, so that you are in the market and you are in the line.
Okay. So first would be vision and
Vision,
reassessing. Second would be
financial
financial
discipline,
discipline.
very important,
Very important. And then third would be keep your eyes and ears open
and
and
be innovative.
be innovative. Awesome. That is great. So now we move to the second segment of our podcast where we talk a little bit about wealth mindset, because at the end of the day, everyone has that in their mind that they want to be wealthy and everyone deserves a great lifestyle, good wealth, and health for themselves. So the second segment will talk more about this. So what is your biggest difference between earning money and building wealth? Just to clear it in, ahead, what would be?
As I told you initially, I always knew what are my limitations, and I would live within my limitations. Never make an attempt to show off or showcase yourself for something which you are not. That should be the first, you know, red line.
Stay
Because if
true
you,
to yourself.
yeah, because it should be a red line. Why? Because if you cross that limit, then you fall down.
Okay.
So what you need to do is, you need to assess yourself. You need to know what is your capacity, what is your ability, what is your limitations, and be within that. And if you are within that, then there is no problem, because you are comfortable in your living. See, everybody would like to live in a very lavish lifestyle and all that. But if I can't afford, I know I can't afford. Why I even dream of it? Okay, let's say, hope if something comes up in my life, let's enjoy, no doubt.
But they can have that vision, work towards it.
Work
Once
towards
they're,
it. Work
yes,
towards it, and when you get to reach there, yeah,
then,
that is second part.
yeah,
That is second part. Now this is when you start.
yes,
When you live within your limitation, you can grow, and the growth should be such that it should, doesn't allow you to what do you call uh, what do you call tremble.
okay,
Okay, because what happens is, I have seen many people that when the things go, financial things go beyond their control. Of course, the market is there, money is less, but somehow he has to make it happen. But he's not able to capitalize on it. He's not able to raise the resources, and then everything starts shaking.
hmm,
So you should plan it from different angles. It cannot be just one way traffic. Now, for example, I know I can reach out to the market. I can be one of things. But then, if I don't have the monetary push for it, I will not be able to reach that goal. But somehow, you have to plan for it. It's not that it is not possible. It is possible. So whether you go for a IPO, or whether you go for a, taking a equity sharing partner, whatever. So in that case, you have to have that vision.
have the vision.
Yeah, and you have to have that positive thought in you, so that you know where you can go, to what extent you can go, and enjoy the luxuries of your life once you are started
Obtain.
reaping the benefits.
That's it. So not to stress on it before.
Not to stress, and never jump out of your comfort zone.
Hmm. Why do many hardworking people remain financially stuck?
As I told you, financially stuck means they do not have that vision, or they have not done the planning. And resource planning is also a very, very important subject. And when you do this planning, you should have some sort of a, plan B also in action, because it can also backfire sometimes. So you should have plan B, so that agar ye nahi hota hai, to I'll go for next. Sometimes I feel that my company is so good, doing so well, I can start a IPO and get people to invest in it. But it doesn't happen sometimes, because there are a lot of pitfalls, there are a lot of things, paperwork which is not matching with the IPO, and they don't allow you. Then what? So here you can always treat some people where they would be partners in your equity, or you find some investors, or there are many other ways. Make a project report in such a way that a financial institution gets interested in your project. So this type of things, you should do early planning. At the last moment when you do this, you get stuck.
Okay. So early planning of finances really helps
Yeah.
people get out of there.
And second point is, as I told you earlier, all the money that is in your kitty is not yours. This, you should remember. Because what happens, and then some money which you are earning should be left behind as a cushion. Because I'll tell you one thing, you have done some production, you have supplied, your money doesn't come in time, but your production has to roll on. So you need to buy the inventory, or buy the raw material. So where from you will get the money? So that cushion comes to help. So this type of things, planning, financial discipline, then your forward thinking, then your approach to the market, all these things, attributes which you need to inculcate in yourself, and slowly you need to take your feet forward, not just jump across when there is nothing in the kitty.
Is financial success more about intelligence or courage, according to you?
It's both, because planning, managing funds is intelligence. Okay. And then you should know exactly where the money flow is going. Each, like we do in the budget, how the rupee comes in and how the rupee goes out. So you make a plan, and that you should work to the plan. If you follow the plan and if you are able to match the plan, you are successful. If you go overboard, you are further successful. But if you fall short, then there is a financial deficit and you are in a toss. So what is important is intelligence is also important. At the same time, you need courage, because finally what happens is, if you lose heart, you lose everything, because your thinking process stops. Your finding solution or meeting the target, it doesn't result in any positive gain. So courage is also important. So both the things together can make things happen.
Great.
And that's why some of the people go to the consultants. Consultant को क्या होता है, तो उसका तो पैसा कुछ जाने वाला नहीं है, so he is not bothered. He'll give you, but then you should have the intelligence to catch what he's saying, whether it is right, wrong, whether it will be good for you, bad for you. So intelligence is also required there.
So you're saying both are equally important.
Yes.
What is the one financial habit that a young youth must build early in their stage of life? One, the most important non negotiable.
Financial discipline. I always say that. Anywhere and everywhere I go, I always talk about financial discipline.
And when you say financial discipline, one would be to plan your finances.
Plan your finances.
Second would be to always have a backup.
Yes. Have a cushion.
Have a cushion.
Yeah. And most of, when you go to a financial institution, there are some norms which we generally fail to adhere to. Now, what happens is, if you fail to adhere, then, your this shrinks, your credibility shrinks. Okay. So, you don't get those desired points to reach the target or the level of the financial institutions. They have some level where they gauge you. So you have to maintain that, like, giving them the regular statements, giving them the regular, inputs.
Okay.
And also, your review. You should plan prior to them.
Hmm.
Okay, and then once you do the reviews for yourself, you are very comfortable in answering the questions when you go there, and you should be able to make them understand why the need of additional finance is there. It should not be just, मुझे चाहिए चाहिए तो ऐसा नहीं होता है. There has to be a logic, reasoning, and the methodology where the money will go. Okay. Or where the money will fetch additional money.
You have led multiple organizations. What do you think makes a respectable leader?
See, basically, any organization which you enter, that's not your hereditary thing. Okay, you are just entering it in a temporary phase. So you should accept it that I am here for a temporary period. Okay, and why have you come? Whether to take advantage of that organization, whether you have come to deliver something to the organization so that you take the organization to the next level, or you want to be just a part of it. You could be either. My thinking was always that I have come here to give something to the organization. And at that period, I know that I alone cannot do the justice. I alone cannot make it happen. So right from the beginning, I always start taking people with me. Float the idea, make it look as if it has come from everybody, so that everybody gets involved and they also try to contribute. And then ultimately, you come up. Okay, so this was the concept which I followed, and I have been a lot successful because As you very rightly said, I have been at the helm of affairs of almost all the associations in Goa, whether it is Goa Chamber of Commerce, Goa Management Association, Green Triangle Society, Indian Red Cross Society. Uh, there are many others. Then, luckily, I was also able, because I was invited first, and then, uh, in fact, that is the only thing I would say. My networking was to such an extent that I led an organization that entire South India, sorry. It was called as SICAN, South India Chamber and Association Network, means all the chambers in the South, and I was their leader.
Wow.
And then from there, I jumped onto the national MSME thing, where I became the national chairman of MSME. I went on to become the national board member of MSME, and so on. So it just happened. But you have to put in some work. You have to have knowledge. You have to have information. You have to, have that policy making ability. Now, everywhere you go, any government, they would like to have suggestions coming from you, so that they can implement it for the betterment of the mankind or members or industry or whatever you may say. But at that time, the policy should be such that it should be reaching out to them in a very subtle manner. So, ease of doing business, what we say. So all these things, matter. And then you being a part of the industry, if you don't know through what rigmarole you have gone through what difficulties you have gone through, what obstacles you have faced, and then if you cannot, make so fact finding mission with solution.
What message would you give to the women out there who want to start their business?
In fact, women are best suited to run a business. The reason being, they are the best accounting minds ever had, because ever have. The reason being, a housewife who or a homemaker, like we say today, you give the paycheck to in her hands, whether it is 10,000 or 50,000. She manages the household excellently, giving food to all, making things available to all the members of the family, and even with the limited resources, she would save something for a rainy day. Now, if this she can manage in a household, while she will not be able to manage in a business enterprise, and she would do much better in this case. So I would suggest that women folk should have that confidence, build up that confidence in them, have that attitude, because they already have a working style. And besides, a sincerity, dedication, commitment, focus, agar all these things are brought in the picture, I think women today can be one of the best entrepreneurs, and we see lots of women coming forward today and are successful in their business ventures and in their organizations. So I feel today this is the right opportune moment for all the women folk to come forward and uh, take this opportunity to be a successful entrepreneur.
Great. Thank you so much. This is the exact push that we're looking for to spread around to women entrepreneurs who want to start their venture. So thank you for talking about this. And for this next segment, we will now be starting with the rapid fire. So I'll take my phone out for this. So now we'll start with the rapid fire. You'll get two options and you choose one of it. Okay. Job or business?
Business,
Profit or purpose?
purpose,
Risk or stability?
stability,
Discipline or passion?
discipline,
One habit for financial growth?
financial discipline,
One mistake young entrepreneurs make?
uh, no plan B,
No safety backup.
no safety backup.
One word that defines success?
Your focused attitude,
Legacy or lifestyle?
legacy.
Great. That was amazing. So now for the second segment, we would do if I were 25 today. So if you were 25 years old, this is what you would do. What field you would enter if you were 25?
I would enter a field which would benefit the society at large, and that would be either in food processing industry or in agriculture.
Great. Would you start alone or with partners?
Initially, I would start alone, but then build on a cooperative sector.
Okay. So if I were 25 today, how would you build your first 10 lakhs?
By sheer hard work, commitment, dedication, and focused attitude towards my business.
Great. If you were 22 today, if you were 25 today, what would you completely avoid?
Negativity.
How would you build your personal brand?
By making credible things, giving value for money, and every product that I would like to put in the market will be of use to the society, use to the mankind.
That's amazing. Now, as a closing question, is there something that you would like to share with the larger audience? Just that one last message to close the podcast for today.
See, today we need to have a attitude of being a job giver instead of job seeker. And if you have that attitude and a purpose in your life, you can definitely make a career for yourself in times to come. And I would suggest that this should start from your learning phase itself when you are either in college or in a institute, where you can start building up on your ideas, make a business plan, make your ideas come to reality. And that is where, you will enter a zone where you will have a complete mastery over what you think about your idea. And that idea can be concretized only then. So if you can make your idea put on paper and make a complete project process in it, and then share it with your peers, share it with your parents, share it with your well-wishers, share it with your followers, and let them shred it to pieces. And if those pieces you can put it together, then nobody can hold you from being a successful entrepreneur.
That's amazing. I literally have goosebumps listening to this.
Thank you.
So, this is amazing insight. And I just cannot thank you enough for coming here on our show today and sharing these brilliant insights of wisdoms and all your experiences. I'm sure this will really help reshape the future of the young entrepreneurs, women, and everyone who's watching our podcast today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And for our viewers who have watched our podcast today, I hope that this podcast was able to deliver some value to you all and bring in inspiration, motivation, and give you that push that you needed in your life. And if you're looking for more such episodes, then please drop in your feedbacks or any comments or any queries that you would want in our further episodes to be inculcated in. We're really looking forward for your feedback to make sure that this podcast is crafted to be able to meet your requirements and to help you out. And see you until the next time. So thank you so much for watching. We hope you really enjoyed today's video. And for us to be able to get you such inspiring stories every day, make sure that you really hit that subscribe button today and now. And also, if this video was able to help you even a little bit in any area of your life, then please do share it with someone to whom it can also make an impact. Until then, drop in your comments as well so that we get feedback from you and we're able to improve and bring in the best content, because in the end, this is all just for you. So thank you and stay tuned.